to herself that her loathing of Be the D's creator was a recent thing, that in her heart of hearts, she understood that she just might be projecting her feelings onto a man she'd never met. Nearly 2 years ago, her then-husband had quit his job to write a screenplay, something he hadn't discussed with her or even mentioned until 2 days after the fact. There'd been no negotiation, no warning. Eric had simply up and quit, leaving her to support their household while he spent his days surfing to clear his head before he began writing. It was right about that time when Nicole had started to find Brad the Dragon and all his merchandise the tiniest bit annoying. What was it about writers? Did they all have to be self-centered jerks? Or was it just the successful ones? Because Eric had gone on to sell his screenplay for the unbelievable amount of $1 million. And then he'd left her. "Ready to go?" she asked Tyler. He stood with his thin arms wrapped around Hayley's waist as he leaned against her. Hayley hugged him back. The two of them had always been close. Hayley was a kid person down to her bones. "See you next time," he told Hayley. "I can't wait," the other woman said. "Have fun meeting Gyrus." Tyler grinned so broadly, Nicole knew his face had to hurt. "It's only 5 more days." "Do you know how long that is in minutes?" Hayley asked, then slapped her hand over her mouth as Tyler turned to Nicole. "Mommy? I'm sorry," Hayley whispered. "I just made it worse, huh?" "We'll survive." Tyler rushed over and danced in front of her. "We can know how many minutes?" "Sure. We can do the math when we get home. We'll need a calculator." Hayley winced. "Now I'm making you do math." Nicole hugged her friend. "I love you, even when you make me do math. But when I regrout my bathroom tile, you'll be the first person I call." "It's a deal." Nicole straightened. For a second, she studied Hayley. As always, her skin was pale, and there were dark circles under her eyes. She looked as if she were in the middle of fighting some awful illness. Nicole knew the truth was slightly less desperate, but still painful. Hayley was recovering from yet another miscarriage. Nicole took Tyler's hand and led him out of the store. As she helped him into his booster seat, he chattered on about Be the D and the upcoming visit by the prolific author. Maybe it wasn't Gyrus's fault, she told herself, as she closed the rear passenger door. Maybe he was really a very nice man who loved children. She doubted it, but hoped she was wrong, because she would hate for Tyler's heart to be broken by meeting a flawed hero. On the bright side, she'd volunteered to be there for the visit, so if Gyrus turned out to be a complete ass, she would do everything she could to protect Tyler and the other kids. At the very least, she could accidentally trip the man and call him names, possibly beat him with a stuffed Be the D doll. That image made her smile. Perspective, she reminded herself. So much of life was all about perspective. "And we're learning how to trust, and we're finally starting to live." Hayley Batchelor tapped her fingers against her steering wheel as she sang along with the radio. The new Destiny Mills song had her swaying in her seat. When the light turned green, she drove through the intersection and made a right. At 6:30 on a Thursday night, there was plenty of traffic. Neighbors pulled into driveways. Kids were out playing in front yards. The speed limit was only 25, but no one went faster than that. It wasn't that kind of neighborhood. Hayley saw that the house on the corner now had a second story. For months it had been in disarray. It had been interesting to watch the demolition followed by the reconstruction. Once finished, the house would be stunning. Most of the neighborhood was going through a similar process, updating, sprucing. Hayley knew there was a term for it. Gentrification, maybe. She turned at the next corner and drove down her street. Here, there were more signs of the revitalization. She liked the fresh paint, the new front doors. But when she pulled into her driveway, she wrinkled her nose. Talk about shabby, she thought, as she stared at the overgrown yard and peeling paint around the windows. The pale gray stucco was still in good shape, but the house looked like what it was, a place that had been neglected for a while.